My name is Evelyn. I'm 57, and for most of my life I kept things simple. I married young, raised 2 children, and filled the quiet stretches of my days with gardening, reading aloud to kids at the community library, and chatting with my neighbors over morning coffee. I never chased after drama, and I certainly never imagined that love, or something like it, would come knocking again. Not at my age. That chapter, I thought, had closed a long time ago. But I was wrong. And what happened? Well, I still don't know how to explain it. Please don't make the same mistake I did. It was early evening when the knock came. I had just finished tidying the kitchen, humming softly along with a song playing on the radio. I assumed it was Margaret, my neighbor, returning for her casserole dish. She and her husband, Henry, had joined me for dinner the night before, a little neighborhood tradition we'd kept alive over the years. But when I opened the door, it wasn't Margaret. It was Henry. He stood alone, eyes swollen and red. Not from lack of sleep, but the kind of crying that empties your chest. I caught the sharp scent of whiskey before he even spoke. "Evelyn," he said, voice hoarse. I didn't know where else to go. This wasn't like Henry. He was the kind of man who always had a joke on hand, who waved at you from across the lawn like you were family. Seeing him like that, off balance, broken, sent a cold ripple down my spine. "Come in," I said, stepping back without thinking. He entered hesitantly, standing in the middle of my living room like he didn't know whether to sit or run. I closed the door behind him, watching. Finally he said it. "She left." "Margaret?" Blinked. He nodded slowly. "Packed a bag this morning. Said she's going to her sister's in New Mexico. Said she needs time." My heart sank. I'd had no idea there were issues. They had always seemed steady, more than just neighbors. Friends. A kind of love built on habit and shared glances. "Would you like to sit down?" I offered gently. Henry nodded and sat gingerly on the edge of my couch, as though the cushions might collapse under the weight of everything he was carrying. I took the armchair across from him, tugging my cardigan tighter around myself. "I'm sorry for showing up like this," he said, rubbing his hands together. "I didn't know who else to talk to." "It's all right," I said. And it was. But I felt something else too, a strange tightening in my chest. The air between us seemed heavier. "She said she's been unhappy for years," he continued. "That I've been distant, preoccupied. I thought we were fine." I studied his face, unsure of what to say. I knew what a slow drift felt like. My own marriage had ended in quiet, not conflict. Not in shouting matches, but in forgetting to say goodnight. In dinners eaten apart. In parallel lives under the same roof. Henry's eyes found mine. "You ever feel like you missed your cue? Like you were supposed to say something or do something and you didn't? And now it's gone forever?" I nodded slowly. "More times than I care to admit." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I keep thinking about all those little moments, like blinking lights I ignored. I thought she'd always be there." We sat in silence. Outside, wind chimes swayed gently in the dusk. A softness settled in the room. Something vulnerable, something unspoken. "I'll make us some tea," I said, rising slowly. He nodded, still staring at the floor. In the kitchen, my hands trembled slightly as I filled the kettle. I wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the intimacy of the moment. Or maybe it was because, for the first time in years, I wasn't seeing Henry as Margaret's husband. I was seeing him as a man. And I wasn't ready for what that stirred in me. I returned with the tea, placing his cup gently on the table. The steam rose between us, curling into the silence. He gave me a faint smile. "Thank you," he said quietly. I wrapped my fingers around my own mug and let the warmth anchor me. The only light came from the lamp beside us, painting the room in a soft, amber glow. "It's strange," Henry murmured, "how empty a house feels once they're gone. Like it doesn't even belong to you anymore." I nodded, my throat tight. "Have you talked to anyone else?" "Yes. Your brother maybe." He shook his head. "Couldn't. With you, it's different." That hit me somewhere deep. I didn't ask him what he meant. I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Not yet. Henry looked around the room. You haven't changed much since Thomas passed, have you? The name made me blink. Thomas had been gone for nearly 10 years. Some days it felt like just yesterday he teased me about burning the soup. Other days, it felt like he'd belonged to a different version of me. No, I said softly. I haven't. Henry nodded. You always seemed so at peace. Like you'd made your peace with it all. I did, I said, though even I could hear the uncertainty in my voice. Eventually. But there are still days when I forget he's not in the next room. Or I set out 2 plates for dinner. He stared at his hands. I've watched you over the years. Not in a weird way. Just noticed you. You carry yourself like someone who found calm after chaos. It gave me hope. I didn't know what to say. His words weren't flattering in the usual way. They were sincere, strangely intimate. Quiet pause followed, heavy, charged. Henry stood suddenly. I should go. I didn't mean to stay this long. I walked him to the door. As he stepped outside, he paused, then turned to face me. His face was tight, like he was holding something back. Evelyn, he began, then hesitated. Finally he said, last night when we were having dinner, I realized something. Watching you laugh. Listening to your stories. I haven't felt that kind of ease in a long time. I opened my mouth, then closed it. My heart pounded in my chest. I'm sorry if that's inappropriate, he added quickly. I needed to say it. It's not inappropriate, I whispered. It's honest. We stood there, not touching, not moving, just seeing each other. Then he nodded and walked away. I stood on the porch, heart racing, watching his silhouette disappear into the darkness. Something had shifted, and I wasn't sure I could go back to pretending it hadn't. The next morning, the sunlight felt unfamiliar, like it was uncertain too. It filtered through the blinds in hazy stripes. I sipped my coffee and stared out at the backyard, where laughter had once echoed from Henry and Margaret's summer barbecues. I hadn't slept much. His words had replayed again and again in my head. The way he looked at me, not like a neighbor but like someone he needed. By midday, I was out in the garden, pulling weeds, when I heard his voice from the other side of the fence. Evelyn! I looked up. There he was, Henry, holding a cardboard box. Found some old gardening books in the attic, he said. Thought you might want them. Sure, I smiled. Bring them over. He came back to the porch. His shoulders looked lighter. We sat in the kitchen flipping through the dusty volumes, pretending that's what the visit was about. You okay today? Yes. Better, he said. Saying it out loud helped. Being here helped. He hesitated. I'm sorry if I crossed a line yesterday. You didn't, I said. Then added. But maybe things were already complicated before either of us said a word. He nodded. I didn't expect to feel this again. Not now. Not like this. Me neither. He reached out, gently touching my hand. No pressure. Just presence. I miss being near someone who listens. Who sees me, he said, voice cracking. I see you, I whispered. He didn't lean in. Didn't move closer. Just stayed there, his hand over mine. A simple, unspoken trust. Later, as the clock chimed, he stood. I should go. I need to figure some things out. At the door he turned. Would it be all right if I came by again? Just to talk. Of course, I said. In the days that followed, he didn't come every day. Sometimes it was a wave across the fence. Sometimes a shared laugh at the mailbox. And sometimes he'd sit with me and we'd talk about nothing and everything. Then one evening, just as the sky was dimming into twilight, there was another knock. When I opened the door, he wasn't carrying anything. Just a quiet look of certainty. Can I come in? He nodded. He stood in the living room looking around. Margaret called. She wants to meet. I think it's just to make things official. I'm sorry, I said and meant it. He nodded. I thought I'd feel broken. But being here, talking to you. It helped me face things I've ignored for too long." He paused at the window, staring out at the darkening yard. "Maybe some people don't come into our lives to stay," he said. "Maybe they come to show us something we forgot." "All the time," I said softly. He turned to face me. "I don't know what this is. I don't know what it means. But being with you feels real. It reminds me that I'm still human." I stepped closer. "I'm not looking for a replacement, and I'm not expecting answers. But I do know this. I don't feel alone when I'm with you." He reached out. Our hands met again. We sat on the couch, not tangled in confusion, just sitting close. The cicadas hummed. A breeze drifted in through the open window, carrying the scent of lilac. I leaned against his shoulder. He rested his cheek on my head. When he left, he kissed my cheek, once soft and sure. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel lost or stuck between past and future. I just felt here. And maybe that was the beginning. Or maybe it was just the return.